With the launch of Skate, this would be the 6th game I've been a part of. 5 if you don't count Warzone, but I'm gonna count it. And a question I get a lot on stream or in the comments is, what is it like? How do you get into it? What is your story? Well, take a seat, grab some popcorn, grab a big cup of gamer subs. Use NDA for 10% off your order, by the way. And as I tell you the reality behind game development. I played video games for a majority of my life. So the Super Nintendo, N64, the PlayStation 1 was a huge part of my life. I played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1. I still know the opening level like the back of my hand. And then, of course, going over to my cousin's house and getting my ass kicked in Blood Gulch.
Red team has the flag.
Why does the Scorpion have 6 pedals and only 4 directions? But what actually got me interested into making video games is where a lot of people got their start, with unfettered access to the internet and a website called Newgrounds. You know Newgrounds from a lot of older YouTubers. That's where Ego Raptor, Psychic Pebbles, Oni, and have you ever heard of something called Castle Crashers? Hello? And honestly, I probably was on that site way too early. And watching like all these cool stick fight animations, Metal Gear Awesome, and stuff like that. I noticed also that everyone had these smaller games on it. Same with like Bloons Tower Defense, Escaping the Prison, Happy Wheels. That one game where like you would try and shoot the arrow. Oh, what was it called? Bowman. Played a lot of Bowman and like Fancy Pants Adventures. All those games weren't made by Activision, Nintendo, or anything like that. They were made from normal people, just using this software called Flash. Rest in peace, you beautiful software. You will never be forgotten. That's where it really started for me. I legally got my first copy of Flash. But yeah, using those softwares, I made like really bad stick fight animations. I learned how to make a ball drop, tried making my own like really bad Flash games. Don't look them up now, they're gone. And then even like just consuming more YouTube-y content that talked about games like this. The Angry Video Game Nerd got me really into understanding the history and like looking into older games. And Sequelitis actually got you to think about good and bad game design and level design. I still think the Mega Man X video should be taught in like game design 101. It is such a well put together video. You can skip the Legend of Zelda one, but the Mega Man one, whew, that's a near perfect video in my opinion. When my junior year of high school hit, I got super apathetic with my studies. I just kept trying to make my own games with my friends in Minecraft, League of Legends, Halo custom matches, especially in Halo 3 and Halo Reach, an achievement horse map. I never got to make an achievement horse map though, so that's still a big, deep personal failure that I think about every day. Anywhere I could, I was trying to make my own stupid little games. Then I found out you can actually go to school for it, which I eventually got kicked out of, and that's a whole other story. And I have a huge gripe with game dev education as a whole, because I learned how bad it can be. If you want me to make a video on it, please let me know. For lack of a better term, mine was kind of dog shit.
Welcome to Black Ops, motherfucker!
I was in class one day and had a realization that I couldn't handle this anymore. And if I'm gonna just sit down and learn things, I might as well try and learn in the studio and learn on the job. So I scoured job sites for about 6 to 7 months, and I saw that Treyarch was hiring for a QA tester for their next title. It was entry level. There was no salary band. There was nothing. It was just really vague. It was just like QA tester entry level. Apply if you're desperate. And I shot my shot. It took about 2 to 3 months to hear back. Randomly, while I was in one of my evening classes at around 6 p.m., I got a call of duty. And I thought it was a prank because it was just a random phone call at 6 p.m. from Santa Monica. But it was a call to go down a week later for an interview and a test. I agreed, signed the NDA. I was ready to go. Then fun fact, then it hit me. He never told me when the interview was. It was literally just the address, and even the email with the address to the building didn't have a time. So I literally woke up at 6 a.m., drove through early morning LA traffic just to get the office at 8. Learned the interview wasn't until 11. Slept in my car for like 3 hours in a suit just to help with the slim chance of getting a job. But showing up to a game developer interview in a suit where everyone is wearing like t-shirts and hoodies all day. It's so funny, by the way. It is hilarious in hindsight. I also skipped class that day because I kind of went all in on this. I didn't want to do it anymore. I really did not like school. I went in, he talked about what it would be, and I just told him I was eager to learn, willing to deal with basically whatever. Crunch wasn't a concern to me because I had nothing going on. I sold my ass to the lowest common denominator. I made myself as appealing as possible, and it worked. I got hired on. I took a test. I took a QA test, a QA design test, and they paid me around $11 an hour, and it was guaranteed within a week we would be going in a crunch, which is about 12-ish hour days. But honestly, coming from the kitchen, working 12-hour days, but you're sitting down instead of standing and working around heat, I'll take that. I'll take it any day of the week. Also, don't do this unless you really need to, because the exploitation of passion is going to be a running theme throughout the entire industry and in this video. And also, if you want to know a lot more about my experience at that studio and even my Infinity Ward stuff, I made a whole other video on it, and it's right here. But it came down to the following. I worked almost non-stop overtime on Black Ops 4, Modern Warfare, and Warzone. I grew individually in terms of very deep understanding of their engine, the workflow, the politics of the company, especially the politics. Understanding how big companies kind of operate in terms of how they see their workers. Oh, and also I learned how to not be a dick to other people, because even when you're insanely stressed out, being a nice person goes a long way. I also got to go to the very last E3. I have no other place to put that. I just wanted to flex it.
It's a picture I took of you the first time I ever came here. Ah, look at you, so young and happy.
And lastly, you really want that full-time position. The bonuses you get after launch of all those, when you're seeing your leads show up with brand new Teslas while I'm driving a car that shakes when it goes past 50 miles per hour, and then having to pay for parking so I can work slightly earlier to avoid the 6 p.m. LA traffic and just face the 4 p.m. LA traffic. Does something into your brain chemistry, I'll tell you what. Right before the launch of Warzone, I got a message from my lead to go meet in one of the meeting rooms. I was working with the Warzone team hard. It's where I got my feet wet with environment art, so I was hoping I'd be moved over to that team. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and I got laid off without even being able to say goodbye to the team I grew really close with. I was devastated and I almost gave up. Luckily, I found a job working as a sole QA tester at a company called Vertebrae, which later got sold to Snapchat, with some of the nicest people ever, by the way, and I'm incredibly thankful to them. They're super duper nice. And the entire time I was there, I was pulling double duty. I despise the idea of a grind set, but sometimes you have to work overtime and work hard to get something that you really want. That's just life. So just grab your caffeine and go. I think while I was working this job, I tried to complete about a scene or a project at least every month. A lot of these weren't even necessarily my best work, but it was the fact that I was able to send out assets and scenes as frequently as possible that got quite a few eyes on me, and it gave me the opportunity to show my work in a lot of art tests. I stayed with Vertebrae for about a year and a half, failing to do, I think it was a total of 8, until one day I saw an opening for an outsourced review artist at Sony Visual Arts in San Diego. I didn't get a lot of information of what the project was on. All I got was a prompt for the art test that was a post-apocalyptic third-person game. No, not that one. No. It was for The Last of Us. Now you're probably wondering, what is an outsourced review artist? Well, as games get bigger and assets get more complex, there's been a group of studios called external developers, or XDev for short, and it's a job as an outsourced review artist to essentially know, like the back of your hand, the art style, the art bible, limitations of the asset and the engine, making sure assets don't have a bajillion polygons, etc., all that good stuff, and able to successfully tell the outsourced artist or the external developer what they need, what the references are, to use the bargain for time, communicate between them and the internal developers to see if it matches the needs, and implement everything to make sure the art is great, while making sure everything is done in a timely manner while reaching sprints and all that good shit. It's like a mixture of being an artist and a producer at the same time, because you're managing managing like people's time while still being able to handle what makes the asset good. I realized I still haven't done a Last of Us video. Huh. It was a fun one. It was a really fun project. It was the first time I didn't crunch. That was cool. I actually got off with an 8-hour time frame. It was the first job where I did that. I think I only had to work like 1 or 2 days of overtime. Just because you had to work based on hours, and sometimes a meeting would go long. But with Last of Us Part 1 and then also the canceled multiplayer project, I got a lot more confident with my art. And what it taught me is how to break things down really, really well, from assets, art direction, management, how level design works. It's so fun for me to do now. Like, it's a side hobby I do with every game I play. Now, you're probably wondering why I decided to leave if it was so great. Well, one of two things. The first being, I really wanted to feel like I owned something. I did a lot on Part 1 and the multiplayer project. I didn't really feel like I was able to get my hands, so I got greedy. So I wanted to make something as an artist first, and I wanted to know if I could really do it consistently, you know? Like, I was able to make some stuff on the game and, like, clean stuff up and make a bunch of assets here and there, but I really wanted to, like, do it. I wanted to feel like I did a lot on something. My lead and I were talking about something called company stagnation. We were just talking. It's statistically really difficult to get promoted from within a studio. But if you're content or they just treat you right enough, you don't necessarily need to leave or want to leave. But if you ask for a pay bump or you feel like you deserve a promotion and they don't give it to you, the fastest way to get to that point is to finish out that project and look for another opportunity elsewhere. It'll give you the launch credit, pay bump, and the respect of both the internal and other studios. And quite frankly, if you go from a mid-level to a senior to another studio, and then you go back to the original studio as a senior, it's entirely possible. Unfortunately, nowadays, and even in the software space, the loyalty you give to a company should only be given if they treat you with loyalty first. Forza Motorsport and Xbox hired me a little after their E3 announcement, and I was in charge of working with the terrain and vistas, basically everything but the track. Shameless plug here. But oh my god, what a shitstorm that was. They teased me along with potential full-time, but I couldn't.
You gotta be quicker than that.
Couldn't, even though I was a senior and basically doing a lot of stuff on the project. It was cool, but there was so much dumb shit that it makes you understand why certain things and certain issues you see with Microsoft now exist. Like, it's hilarious. The fact that the person that was someone that can teach me everything was only able to stay on about 3 weeks after I was hired because his contract ended and they didn't want to extend him at all, and also they couldn't legally extend his contract. So I had to learn 4 new softwares plus the engine by myself, and then immediately get thrown into working on tracks at super fast, like 2-week sprints. Game development itself is nothing but a team effort. Everyone is doing their best to make the best game possible within the shortest amount of time, using all the resources available. And it also taught me, again, Microsoft really, really doesn't know how to handle their fucking IPs or any other fucking stuff. Developers, we can only handle so much in terms of what we have in our actual control. I had only the vistas and terrain to worry about. I couldn't handle what the track team did. I couldn't have any input on the design issues. I couldn't talk about the issues with career mode. I couldn't change any of that. There's so many things that I wish that title was able to do, but eventually didn't. And even the fact that my contract ended on the launch day, and I just had to say goodbye to the team and the project. I didn't even go to the launch party. I didn't have a copy of the game. I played it on Game Pass. It really gave me a new sense of peace and perspective over the fact that sometimes you just have to let go. A little after, I started watching the Boondocks again, like for a, like just a rewatch. And then this clip resonates a lot with just the way I started going about game dev.
Granddad, what do you do when you can't do nothing, but there's nothing you can do?
You do what you can.
I was lucky enough to land on my feet at a studio called Cold Iron, a company known for Alien Fireteam Elite. They're a significantly smaller team. They're probably the smallest team I ever had the privilege to work with. And it was awesome. And I chose it was the easiest decision I've ever made. One, they gave me full-time, so I finally had health insurance. All it took was 4 other launches, but I finally got health insurance. Whoa! But with the fact that it was a smaller team, it gave me the opportunity to find my own voice, have a deeper understanding of my limitations as a developer and as an artist. And to go back to environment art, not as a senior, but as a mid-level, gave me enough time to focus and work more closely with the whole team. It got me more comfortable with engine work, how to plan things out with smaller teams, take on more responsibility, more lighting choices I was allowed to do, material creation, trim sheet planning, spline work was a big thing for me. I didn't only have to worry about one thing. I was able to spread out and I felt more complete as a developer. It gave me the confidence and independence I didn't know I needed. And I was ready to stay with the team and grow as much as I could. Until one opportunity came across my desk that I didn't expect in a million or in 15 years.
Oh my god.
If you look at my personal art and the art style of the new skate game, they don't match at all. They are drastically different styles and entities and directions. But this is where I felt like everything was ready for me to kind of move in this direction. Years and years of building up independence, confidence, and the ability to not be afraid to look stupid and ask questions paid off. It was a complete 180 from anything I've done. I was excited to just try it and send it off to whatever I needed to be. I was hired on by EA to be a senior outsource manager. It's like the same position I was at with Sony Visual Arts, but it had senior in the title, so that felt cool. And manager, so that's just extra imposter syndrome on my brain, but I'm not going to think about that right now. Skate is one of those titles that I love. Skate culture has been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. From Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 to eating shit as a little kid in a bowl, trying to learn how to drop in, skating around college and everything else. I've always had a skateboard in my life. Also, sorry, future Adrian here. Chris Jocelyn fucking tray flipped El Toro. Hello? Are we gonna get where's the footage? I need to see the video, Chris. This is not a joke. I'm completely derailing the video. I need to see the goddamn footage. I saw the photos. I need the footage. Now I was able to give back to a community that gave me so much, to a new generation of people that are willing to learn to skate and skate again. This was an opportunity of full passion, and it is amazing to be a part of. I'm at the very beginning. I'm barely been at the studio for like 6 months now, and at the time of recording, it comes out in like 2 days, and I'm ready to give it all. Is it everything I wanted it to be? No, but again, you only have 5 months on a project. You can't necessarily remake everything from the ground up. Like I said, you just gotta let go, control what you can control, and then make everything the best you can. There was so much more left to do with the skate project, and I'm excited to show you all what we have in store. Which brings me to the final thing about game development I've learned in this very short amount of time. Because I don't feel like I'm a genius. I do not feel smarter than anyone. I feel like me. I'm the same idiot that logged into Newgrounds and learned Pivot at the age of 15, and now I'm just here doing it on a much grander scale. Sometimes we forget in the chaos of everything to just sit down and have fun. We're making games. We're making things people will enjoy for a very long time. And if we can't have fun making it, what's the point of making something fun to begin with? So in conclusion, it's a lot of luck, it's a lot of skill, a lot of willpower, it's some pleasure, it's a whole lot of pain, and 100% reason to remember the